econometric tests and logic and theory does govern economic science to some degree. But people come to their scientific convictions in all kinds of ways. Arguments from authority. Milton Friedman told me so, therefore I believe it, say. Or arguments from analogy, which is a very powerful scientific tool from metaphors. Stories, the story of economic development as a tale in which the expert economist comes from the World Bank and helps the poor people become rich. And tales our mothers told us, diagrams, films, fiction. Most people think that they understand what was happening in the early Industrial Revolution to poor people. How do they know this? Because they've read Hard Times by Charles Dickens. So they think that this guy who knew nothing about industrialization is a good guide to economic history. So I don't mean, it's not that these are just fallacies. It's how humans honestly and seriously persuade in physics, even in mathematics itself, and in philosophy and so forth. So in order to understand science, and this is a point that sociologists of science understand very well, you've got to get beyond the official cover story. And I also doubt very much the sensibleness, the rationality of this existing cover story, which is that theories are just existence theorems. There exists a competitive equilibrium, or there doesn't because there are all these imperfections on the one hand, and econometrics, which uses existence too. It talks about whether or not an effect exists, and that's supposed to be a test by statistical significance. The American Statistical Association in the spring of 2016 issued an official report denying that tests of statistical significance are a sensible guide to the importance of a variable. And once you realize that I'm not against economic theory, I'm not against mathematics, I'm not against econometrics or quantities, quantification. I'm a quantitative person, but these little tools, existence theorems in the style of the mathematics department, not engineering or physics, but mathematics, and statistical significance in the style of formal statistical theory, without acknowledging the common sense of how big something is, oomph I call it, is a blind alley in our field. But it's dominant, and everyone's crowded into this alley, and they're all bumping against the wall at the end of the alley.